happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So yet again we're linked with another player. So this time we're linked with a midfielder, Argentinian midfielder Ever Banega, who's currently part of the Argentinian squad, who's in Russia for the World Cup. Of course, we do know that we're very thin in the midfield department. We've recently lost Jack Wilshere. Of course, we've also recently lost Santi Cazorla due to injury, and he's obviously moved on. His contract wasn't renewed by the club, and we do know that Xhaka has recently signed a new contract, and Ramsey's running down his contract, if you like. We've also got El Nino amongst our ranks, but to play the system that we need to play as a club, or in terms of the system moving forward, based on what Emery may do, he may emulate what Wenger was doing, really, by playing a three midfield, but we do need depth within that particular department, and Ever Banega can certainly fill that particular void. So Ever Banega, as mentioned, is part of the Argentinian squad that is in Argentina, and essentially he is a 29-year-old midfielder. I don't know if the age is something that may put off some people, but for me, I like getting in some young players. Of course, we have been linked with Torreira, who supposedly the deal is actually now done. We're just waiting for the confirmation. Of course, a lot of movement is obviously going to start to take place as of the 1st of July, but if we can get these two in, Ever Banega and Torreira, then we will certainly have that depth that we're seeking within the midfield. Of course, the Ramsey situation is still a bit precarious, but of course Banega will come in and make a welcome addition to the squad. He's known as a footballing nomad, if you like. He did play under Unai Emery at Sevilla as well as Valencia, so he's certainly a player that he knows very well. But recently, in recent years, he went to Inter Milan, and he only spent 13 months there, and he ended up back in Spain. Obviously, he didn't like what was happening in Italy, if you like. He wasn't happy with the chances that he was being presented with once he had moved across to Serie A. So he ended up finding himself back in Spain. He's an extremely experienced midfielder. Won the Europa League twice under Unai Emery at Sevilla, so he does bring a wealth of experience that he certainly needed. The positive for me here really would be the fact that Unai Emery knows the player inside and out. He knows the current situation with the player himself. Supposedly, reports are also suggesting that Unai Emery actually made a call to the player. I'm not too sure if that's legal or not. It may be deemed as tapping up, but Unai Emery supposedly made a call to the player, trying to sell the move to Arsenal to him, and we do know that the player has an 18 million euro release clause within his contract, and he supposedly wants to move due to the change of direction within the current club, which is Sevilla. He's certainly seeking for a move, according to reports. He obviously wants to follow his former manager, and that certainly it weighs heavily in our favour in terms of securing the player coming over to Arsenal. So as mentioned, he's a very experienced player. Won a number of cups, even going back to his time in South America. He won their version of the Champions League whilst he was over there. So he's certainly a born winner, loves winning. I hope he can come and actually make a decent addition to the team. He's obviously not the high-profile midfielder that we do want, but based on the current situation, based on our laundry list in terms of what we need rectifying and what we need fixing, he will certainly be a welcome addition. I do believe once everything is all done and dusted, our starting midfield will be Torreira, Ramsey and Xhaka. Those are the three players I do believe will be fielding next season as part of the Arsenal first team. The rest will certainly chip in. Of course, we do have 4 competitions that we will be taking part in, and that will be the Europa League, Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, as well as the Premier League. Out of those 4, obviously my main priority will certainly be the Premier League in terms of actually getting back into the Champions League. If I was to put an order to those competitions, it will certainly also be the Europa League will come second on that list, due to the fact that it holds a very high chance of us going back into the Champions League. But main priority is for us to go back into the Champions League. We do need to get back in there. It's a huge priority, and depth in midfield will certainly be the key. We will see a rotating squad, most likely. Wenger did certainly rotate last season, but it wasn't that much of a rotation, purely because Xhaka pretty much played most of the games, including the cup games as well as the Premier League games. I don't think he even missed the Premier League game, which was a very, very good thing. So hopefully we can secure Banega to come to Arsenal, add a bit of strength and depth into the midfield. As usual, guys, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you are watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again, guys, it's your boy TC from Unai Emery TV.